The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. Longman Simplified English Series. Read by Surya Thongmak. Chapter 24. The Picnic Hug on the Track. The first thing Tom heard on Friday morning was a glad piece of news. Judge Thrasher's family had come back to town. He saw Becky with a crowd of their schoolmates, and his delight was boundless when she told him that her mother had appointed the next day for the long-delayed picnic. Invitations were sent out before sunset. Tom had hopes of hearing Huck's mew and of astonishing Becky and the picnickers with the treasure the next day, but no signal came. By 10 o'clock the next morning, a gay company had gathered at Judge Thrasher's, and everything was ready for a start. The children were put in charge of a few young teachers of the Sunday school. The ferry boat had been hired for the occasion. Soon the joyful crowd, carrying baskets of food, hurried up the main street. The last thing Mrs. Thrasher said to Becky was, "You'll not get back till late, child. Perhaps you'd better stay all night with some of the girls who live near the ferry landing." "Then I'll stay with Susie Harper, Mamma," said Becky. As Tom and Becky hurried along, Tom said, I'll tell you what we'll do. Instead of going to Mrs. Harper's, we'll climb right up the hill and stay at Widow Douglas. She'll have lovely cakes, and she'll be so glad to have us." "But what will Mamma say?" said Becky, hesitatingly. However, the Widow Douglas cried hard, and Tom's persuasions tempted Becky, and it was decided to say nothing to anybody about their new program. Soon it occurred to Tom that Huck might give the signal this very night, but the signal did not come the night before, so why should it be any more likely to come tonight? He determined not to allow himself to think of the box of money another time that day. 3 miles below the town, the ferry boat was tied up at the mouth of the little wooded valley. The crowd wandered ashore. Games were arranged, and soon the forest echoed far and wide with shouting and laughter. Then came the destruction of the good things in their baskets. After the feast, there was a refreshing rest and talk in the shed. Presently, somebody shouted, "Who's ready for the cave?" Everybody was. Bundles of candles were produced, and at once everyone began to climb up the hill. The mouth of the cave was high up the hillside. Its massive door stood unbarred. Inside was a small chamber, as cold as an ice chest, and walled by nature with solid limestone. Candles were lit, and the children made their way down the steep descent of the main path, which was not more than 8 or 10 feet wide. The candlelight dimly revealed the arched roof overhead. Every few steps other narrower passages branched off on either hand, for the cave contained a very great number of twisting passages. No one knew the end of it. Most of the young men of the village knew a small part of it, and it was not customary to go beyond it. The procession moved along the main avenue for about 3/4 of a mile, and then children began to slip aside into branch passages and play hide and seek. taking each other by surprise where the passengers joined again. Finally, one group after another came wandering back, breathless, covered with clay and candle drippings from head to foot, and entirely delighted with the success of the day. They were astonished to find that the sun had set. The bell had been calling for half an hour when the hurryboat with her merry passengers pushed into the river. Nobody cared to straw for the wasted time, but the captain. Huck was already watching when the ferryboat's lights went glittering past. He heard no noise on board, for the children were as quiet as people who are tired out usually are. The night was growing cloudy and dark. 11 o'clock came, and the inn lights were put out. Huck waited a very long time, but nothing happened. Why not give it up and go to bed? A noise reached his ear. He sprang into a doorway. The next moment, two men brushed by him, and one seemed to have something under his arm. It must be that box. So they were going to remove the treasure. Should he call Tom now? No, that would be silly. The man would get away and never be found again. He must follow. They walked a short distance up the street leading to the river and turned to the left of a cross street. Then they went straight ahead until they came to the path that led up Cardiff Hill. This they took. Halfway up the hill they passed the house of the old watchman, Mr. Jones, and still climbed upward among the tall bushes. Huck shortened his distance now, for they would never be able to see him. He hurried on for a time that then slowed down, fearing that he was getting too near them. He stopped and listened. He was about to spring on when a man cleared his throat not 4 feet from him. Huck's heart shot into his mouth, but he swallowed it again. He knew where he was, within 5 steps of the fence around Widow Douglas's grounds. Now there was a low voice. Redskin Joe's. Cause her. Perhaps she has guests. There are lights, although it's late. Yet there must be guests there. Better give it up, then. This was the voice of the strangers of the haunted house. Give it up. Just when I'm about to leave this country forever, never. I tell you again, I don't want her money. But her husband was the judge who had me thrown into prison as a vagabond. And that isn't a millionth part of it. He had me horsewhipped like a slave. With all the town looking on, he died and escaped me. But she'll suffer for it. Oh, don't kill her. Don't do that. Kill? Who said anything about killing? When you want to take revenge on a pretty woman, you don't kill her. No, you go for her face and spoil it with a knife. My God, that's... Keep your opinion to yourself. My friend, you help me. If you hesitate, I'll kill you. Do you understand that? And if I have to kill you, I'll kill her. And then nobody will know who did the job. Well, the quicker we do it, the better. Now, and people there? No, we'll wait until the lights are out. There's no hurry. With infinite care, Huck stepped back little by little until he judged that he was safe. Then he flew like a wind, down, down. He raced till he reached the watchman's. He banged at the door on the heads of the old man and his sons were thrust from windows. "Let me in, Mr. Jones. Quick, it's Huckleberry Finn. I'll tell you everything. Let him in, boys, and let's see what the trouble is. Please don't tell anyone that I told you," were Huck's first words when he got in. "Please don't, I'll be killed." But the window's been a very good friend to me sometimes, and I want to tell. He must have something important to tell us, or he wouldn't behave so," said the old man. "Speak out, Huck. I promise you that nobody here will ever tell." Huck hurriedly told them what he had overheard, and a few minutes later the old man and his sons, well armed, were up the hill and tiptoeing towards the fence. Huck, hidden behind a great rock, listened anxiously. All of a sudden there was the sound of shots and a cry. Huck waited for no details and he dashed down the hill as far as his legs could carry him.